could you just, each of you introduce yourself, please? So let's start with Matt.
Matt Powell, co-founder and COO of Crypto Raiders. I was focused primarily on the community and business administration side of the game. And my previous background was in the e-commerce world before getting into crypto.
Okay. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, been in crypto since about 2020. Matt and I got deep into NFTs last year when it really started taking off. And Matt, David, and I, we've been gaming together for a really long time. So kept calling Dave and pitching him these different ideas for NFT projects that we could do, and started to reel him in and get him interested. And then finally he called me back with like the idea for what is now Crypto Raiders. And so all three of us, we launched that in the summer of last year. And it's been such a fun ride as three gamers, and we've all done different things in business. To be able to come together and build Crypto Raiders has been very exciting.
Cool. And David?
Yep, David Fedorenko. As Nick mentioned, we've all kind of been friends gamers for a very long time. Me and Nick have done some startups in the past. Having a blast building Crypto Raiders. I handle most of like the tech side. So like Nick's our CEO, I'm the CTO. Yeah, we're all very excited to build something fun, cool, and hopefully that a lot of players are going to end up playing.
Cool. Well, this is, a non-formal interview, you know, guys. We're just here to talk together and to know more about what is Crypto Raiders, what it brought you to the, crypto industry, and how to, what brought you to build a play to earn and an NFT game. So what's your experience? Your career history, what you did before. You already mentioned, Matt, you were into e-commerce, but what you guys did before working into crypto full time.
Yeah. So Matt and I, we actually met in the e-commerce industry back in like 2012. So Matt was more on the operations side of e-commerce. I was on the marketing and growth side. So, Facebook ads, Google ads, all of that. Meanwhile, Dave was doing various things in the tech industry. But I think a lot of us got into crypto, after COVID and seeing all the money printing. I think a lot of people kind of woke up to, crypto being interesting during that time. But then NFTs at first, we just got into the NFT industry because it was like fun and exciting. And I think since we're all gamers as well, it's not weird for us to think that digital assets can have value. Like I sold a World of Warcraft account for a lot of money when I was a teenager to like build a new computer. Like we've always thought that digital assets could have value. So we got into NFTs.
Isn't it illegal?
Huh? Well, it's not.
Isn't it illegal?
It's legal. World of Warcraft doesn't like it. If they found out, they would definitely ban the account. But I won't go to jail for it. But maybe in World of Warcraft, they'd send me to the dungeon or something.
You could get banned. Yeah,
you could get banned for sure.
Okay.
But then with like NFTs, it's almost like, that the technology like almost encourages, that kind of thing. And so, at first just got into NFTs because it was fun. But then particularly with Crypto Raiders, like at the time, it was really just like Axie Infinity and Zed Run were like the two big NFT games out there. When we started on Crypto Raiders, like NFT gaming wasn't as popular as it was now. And we all have a lot of experience playing games like RuneScape, World of Warcraft. And we saw like a real opportunity for an RPG blockchain game. And we also think that RPG games have one of the strongest use cases for NFTs because there's so many things that you like trade in an RPG, like items, consumables, materials, like, the economy is built like perfectly for crypto and NFTs. So we saw like a real opportunity back then to create like an RPG blockchain game. And it's awesome because like a lot of people in the community are former RuneScape players or played a lot of RPGs growing up. So there is a real demand for something like this. I'm sure Matt or Dave may have mentioned, but we actually have like a really strong player base in France. There's actually like one or two guilds in our game from France, and I think a lot of them played RuneScape and some other RPGs. So it's been really cool to see that it's not just us that thinks this is a great idea. There's a lot of people that are like, man, I've been playing RuneScape for like 10 years and I've been like dying for like an NFT game version of it. And that's what we're trying to build.
Yeah. Okay. And what about you guys, Matt? Matt, David.
Yeah, like Nick said, got into the NFT space really heavily in last January of last year. Started with trading the art stuff. So, Mad Dog Jones pieces, Pac, all those guys. And as we started our journey down NFTs, really quickly saw that there was a huge synergy between gaming and NFTs. So one of my favorite games was Diablo. I played countless hours of Diablo, and one of the biggest achievements in my Diablo career was when I paid my rent with the D3 auction house funding that I made. So seeing that just in practice with the utility potential of NFTs, it just made so much sense. So when Nick, David, and I came together and started working on Crypto Raiders, it was just like a dream. We've just been enjoying this ride so much. And building this community has been, incredible. The people have really made it fun. The interaction between us as gamers, and I think that's one of the reasons why the game has resonated so much, is because we're gamers ourselves, and we're in there discussing, video games and the technical aspects of the game with the community daily. And I think that has just become a great feedback loop for us and for them.
Yeah, so my sort of journey into NFTs is kind of what Nick laid out. Obviously, I'm a tech guy. I've been, working for companies around Silicon Valley, Silicon Beach, basically my entire professional career. So I very much knew about, crypto, about mining. I've had friends mining, Dogecoin and Ethereum and whatnot since like college. I never really, connected to it necessarily, but he told me about NFTs and he kept bugging me. So one day I just kind of was like, fine. I had like a little lull in my, some of my clients at the time. And I was like, fine, I'll take a week or two and understand how it works. And then kind of what Matt was saying, it just kind of made sense that NFTs completely complement RPG games specifically. We all grew up playing Diablo, World of Warcraft and RuneScape and Minecraft and all these games that have these natural synergies with trading, with materials, with turning things into other things, this sort of like very natural idea of an exchange. So it makes complete sense that we decided to land on a game that's not only fun from a combat, turn-to-turn perspective, but also integrates in the sort of NFT crypto ecosystem as a whole. So we see that as a very natural synergy, a very natural progression of games into this ecosystem that also happens to be consumer friendly, because as Nick was saying, you can sell your character on the gray market, but why is that a gray market? Why can't it be completely legitimate to put time and effort into a character you want to divest? You go off to college and you can't play World of Warcraft anymore, so you can sell that character, and so that's kind of the angle that we're all coming from.
Okay, so you mentioned several games like Diablo, World of Warcraft, also RuneScape. Why did you choose to make a game like Crypto Raiders? I mean, it's in 2D, and this is kind of
retro, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like retro, like old school.
Yeah, retro. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but yeah, I really like it. It makes me feel like I was playing maybe Final Fantasy Tactics. On Game Boy Advance. Yeah, definitely. So what brought you to this kind of game? I mean, building an RPG game instead of, I don't know,
first person shooter,
Infinity.
or card game. Yeah, I think for us, because like it was just like naturally the game that we would want to play. I mean, don't get me wrong, like we love first person shooters. Like Dave and I have been playing a lot of Halo Infinite together. Matt, Dave, and I played you know, a lot of first person shooters. We actually went to an Overwatch like amateur tournament back in like 2016 together. But for us, like RPGs made more sense than like a first person shooter on the blockchain. And I also think that just from a like fun standpoint, like we really were like immersed in like World of Warcraft and in games like that. Matt shared a story about Diablo. Like Dave and I were top PvPers on our server in World of Warcraft. We just loved everything about it, and we intentionally went with like this fun old school art style, just because we felt like, you know, it called back to some of the older games, like you said, Final Fantasy. And also because a lot of the fun in first-person shooters, like you really need good graphics for it to be fun, right? But in RPGs, you really need like good game mechanics. Like the game itself has to be like fun to play. You know, I mean, I've played RPG games that are great graphics, and I stopped playing after 5 hours just because like the game mechanics sucked. And, you know, I've gone back to, you know, old school RPG games and play them for 30 hours, even though it's not the, you know, best graphics. It's like the actual gameplay that like gets people like hooked and fun, and like really invested in the game. And also with RPG games, what's really cool is that there's so many different like player types within an RPG game, right? So there's people that like RPG games like RuneScape, and they don't even want to do player versus player combat. They don't even want to do combat in general. They just want to do the professions. They want to go mine or craft it into bars and like make gear, right? So there's players that like just like to play the economy. Me personally, like in World of Warcraft, I hated having to grind dungeons. Like Dave was the guild leader. He'd be like yelling at me in a dungeon because I'd be like ADD, not paying attention, or about to go attack a boss. I played World of Warcraft for the PvP side, right? And there was other people in World of Warcraft that they played it for the PvE side, or they played it for the social experience. So I think we really landed on RPGs because it fits into the blockchain much better than I think a lot of other game types. And then it's just like such a fun, dynamic type of game that can attract so many different people. Like in our game right now, there's guilds that are solely focused on like winning our PvP tournaments, and that's their whole thing. They grind the dungeons so they can get the gear to win the PvP tournaments. There's other people that like really enjoy the economy side, so they're farming for herbalism mats and turning them into potions, and they're selling potions to other players that don't want to do that. And then we have other players that they just love to go in and do the PvE stuff. They love to go into the dungeons and grind and try to find better gear. And we launch a new one of those every 2 or 3 weeks. So there's lots of new content coming in.
Just to add to Nick's point, you know, you asked us why we're going for like a 2D style game. I think that another thing is we're all pretty experienced. Like we've all done like startups in the past, and we know that like it's difficult, like building things. I always chuckle a little bit, you know, when somebody comes, you know, raises money either in crypto or even on Kickstarter, or, you know, like some other fundraising method. And, you know, they're like, oh, we're going to have the next World of Warcraft out, you know,
AAA
in the next year. And I'm just like, you have no idea like what you're talking about, what you're getting yourself into. You know, World of Warcraft took like 5 years of development, and now we're like 15 years into the game. So, you know, there's like 2 decades there. This is like, you know, but if you build something with small scope, something that is, you know, manageable, you know, we have like, you know, pixel characters that we can get our artists to build, you know, new gear within a week or so, to hire 3D modeler to build out entire what, you know, that would take like a month, you know, for the same amount of time. So we purposely chose this also just out of this idea of like, we have to deliver quickly, and you simply can't do that with a massive 3-dimensional world and gear and all this stuff. So we wanted to make sure that, you know, we can build something that people love playing, but that's also deliverable from our end, from a development standpoint.
From an appeal standpoint, I think that the pixel art and that retro style, it transcends all age groups, you know, all different geographic places, because it just hits us in that nostalgia part of us, and it's very easy to pick up and play, right? So an example is you'll see Crypto Raiders players, playing with, their kids, their 10-year-olds or their 12-year-olds, sharing the game with them like they did when they were a kid. And I think that that's just a great real life example of how that transcends all age groups and is a really great thing for the game.
Yeah, but don't you think that it will be a bit difficult for a young generation to, play those kind of
no, not at all.
game? I mean, we grew up. Yeah.
Let me already answer that. Like, not at all. I mean, you see games like Stardew Valley being a bestseller just 2 years ago on Steam. Yeah. You see, you see all kinds of indie games. I mean,
Roblox, Minecraft. Exactly. Those are great examples. Look at Minecraft. Like Minecraft is literally defined a generation. Like it's like the Lego of the Gen Zers. So I really, really don't think there's going to be any issue whatsoever. Like, as long as the game is fun, as long as the community's strong, as long as the synergies make sense, I really don't think you need, to build an Assassin's Creed to get people to buy into your ecosystem. Yeah, and if we do want to upgrade the graphics over time, like if 3 or 4 years ago we say like, hey, we do want to update the graphics engine and make it more high def, like that's always possible, but we've done the hard work, which is like the game engine, the game mechanics, like all of that. And it would really be like an artistic facelift if we wanted to do that. Like if you look at RuneScape, right? Like the original RuneScape was like really rough, and then they made RuneScape 2, and then they made RuneScape 3, and they kind of improved their graphics engine over time. So like we always have the option to do that down the road. But like as Dave mentioned, like this allows us to put a lot of the time and the resources into like the game development itself, because it's so much easier to develop from like an artistic standpoint.
And something we're like looking towards in the future is porting the game to different platforms, right? So if you build a super high def game, porting it onto a phone or to like a Nintendo Switch, you're going to have a very hard time porting that fancy
compression.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of did this. So, maybe, a year down the line, we do have a Nintendo Switch client that people can spin up. We do have a phone client for, older Android phones, as well as the newest iPhone that just comes out. So we did this very, very purposefully in the sense that we want our ecosystem to be as broad as possible.
Okay. So let's talk about tokenomics and all the crypto ecosystem, and we'll get back to proper video game later. So you firstly started on Ethereum, so you launched the heroes on Ethereum, and then you moved to Polygon.
Yeah.
Well, I won't ask you why did you choose Polygon over Ethereum, but could you explain more about the tokenomics of the game, how all of this works together? You have 2 tokens plus all the the stuff
like materials and Grimweed,
yes, and everything like that. So yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, the reason why we originally launched on Ethereum, but then we quickly realized that in order to do all of the economic stuff that we want players to be able to do, the gas fees on Ethereum would be like super expensive. Yeah. So like on Polygon, if someone sends like their raider on a quest, it costs like less than a penny. If they wanted to do that on Ethereum, it costs like $5 or $6. And if like the stuff that you get from the quest is worth less than $5 or $6, like you're losing money. So like we looked at Polygon at the time. It was the only other chain that integrated with OpenSea. And since the gas costs were like so much lower, we're like, okay, we can really build out the economy here. And then on the tokenomics side, so we have Raider, which is our like governance and utility token. It's sort of similar to Axie Infinity's AXS. And then we have Aurum, which is our in-game gold. And that's similar to like SLP with Axie Infinity. So with Aurum is what you use to do everything in our ecosystem. So if every player gets a certain amount of free dungeon runs every week. But if you want to run more dungeon runs, you can buy additional dungeon runs with Aurum. If you want to recruit a new character, you do that with Aurum. And so like Aurum is really like the lifeblood. It's like gold in any RPG game. It's what, everyone uses to do everything in the game. So Raider is the governance utility token, and then Aurum is the in-game gold. And then, as you mentioned, there's a bunch of other smaller tokens that are all in the Aurum ecosystem. So we have Grimweed and Eye of the Newt. So players will turn those into potions and then use those potions in the game. And then also there's all sorts of other things like mounts. There's mobs. There's all sorts of pretty much everything in our game is either an NFT or an ERC20 token. If it's more of a game asset, like an item, that's an NFT, or a mount, that's an NFT. If it's a material, so if it's wood or if it's iron ore, all of that stuff is ERC tokens.
Okay. I recently interviewed people from DeFi kingdoms. I know that two games are really different because they're more a GameFi than a play to earn, but I know that they are going to make more interactions with their NFTs. Could you explain more about the economic model? Because players at the very beginning get an airdrop of a token to put on liquidity pools. What is the economic model of the game? Do you have you think about how it will be in 1 year or 2 years? So have you made some research on how all of this will be in a few years?
Yeah, most definitely. So our vision for a year or two from now is that we're going to have a really complex and diverse economy, and players will be participating in it in different ways. So currently right now, you have your crypto raider, right? It's at level 1. What you would do is each week you'd run your dungeons, and that's leveling you up and getting better items. And then after you've done your runs, you can go on quests, and quests is how you, do herbalism and to get materials, and then alchemy to craft into potions. A year from now, there's going to be many more professions. So there's going to be mining, so you can get ore. There's going to be smithing, so you can turn the ore into iron bars, which then you can craft into weapons or helmets or shoulder pads. There's going to be fishing. There's going to be enchanting. Pretty much, if you look at RuneScape or World of Warcraft, all of their professions are going to be what we have. But currently in the game, a player can do these quests. They can use the materials themselves to get potions to go farther in dungeons to get better gear, or they could sell those potions to other players that want to keep playing. Similarly with the items, right now with the items, you can equip them and use them yourself to do better in crypto raiders, or right now you can sell them to an item merchant and you actually can get Aurum back, and you could use that Aurum to buy other things, or you could sell off that Aurum if you want to get some money or get some Ethereum, whatever you want to do. But a year from now, there'll be a lot more options with items. It'll be, do I want to equip it myself? Do I want to sell it to the item merchant, just like in any RPG? Or do I want, if it's a good item, do I want to try to sell it on the auction house to another player? Or potentially you want to disenchant it so that in crafting, you can craft a better item potentially. So there'll be a lot of options with what you do with the items that you get in game. And also a year from now, the economy is going to be way more complex. So there's going to be items, there's going to be buildings that improve your ability to craft items or to craft potions cheaper. There's going to be all sorts of professions. So a year from now, the economy is going to be so complex that an individual player probably won't participate in all of it. Just like my RuneScape story, they'll probably pick a specific part that they really want to focus on, like an individual player. So maybe they want to just buy materials and buy gear from other players and go play in PvP and try to participate in that. There will also probably be guilds. Guilds will be able to participate in the entire economy, right? Because if it's a guild of 60 players, maybe 10 players do PvP, 10 players do all the PvE, and the other 40 players, they're They're the herbalism, the alchemists, the smithers, the crafters.
Okay.
And specific.
No, okay.
Yeah, I just stopped awkwardly. And then and then like the comparisons between us and in DeFi Kingdoms is pretty interesting, because DeFi Kingdoms really has like the on-chain economy, right? And that's like all they're doing. Like you said, it's GameFi. Our theory, and like as you said, is they're going to add basically their version of crypto raiders on top. And we're kind of taking the opposite approach, which is like we already have crypto raiders, the game, and we'll keep building that. But now we're going to be building more of the on-chain economy like DeFi Kingdoms is doing. So I would imagine a year or 2 years from now, we'll probably look even more similar than we do today, where like there'll be players in DeFi Kingdoms that just do the economy stuff and don't play the game. You'll see the same in crypto raiders, and you'll see the reverse in both games as well.
Okay, so you probably knew what I want to, introduce to you, but have you thought about doing your own chain using the Avalanche subnet, or you didn't consider it?
Actually, the reason why I was a couple of minutes late to this call is I was on the phone with Avalanche.
My God, it's alpha news.
yeah. And we've been in talks with them for a while, because it's something that we want to explore. DeFi Kingdoms just had a very successful launch of their subnet.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Krabata, which is another blockchain game, they're moving to AVAX as well. The really cool thing about the subnet technology is that, like, for us, we would be able to have all of our players on our own subnet. And instead of the gas costs being AVAX, or right now it's currently, Matic on Polygon, we could actually make our gas fees Aurum. And so then, like, Aurum, the in-game gold, is actually what you use to do all the transactions on there. I'm telling you stuff that you probably already know. But the nice thing about the subnet is that you're protected by the security of Avalanche, instead of having to build your own chain like Ronin did. And we just saw the problems with that recently, right? They got hacked for $600 million. So for us, it makes a lot more sense that we would rather a subnet route than our own chain, because like the security implications are very strong, and you pretty much get your own version of Ronin, right? Like the fees are very cheap. The network is very scalable. So yeah, we're in talks with the AVAX team. A lot of people that we talk to, like our advisors and stuff like that, they like that chain as well. So it's something that we're definitely exploring. We haven't signed any papers or pulled the trigger, but we've been talking. I've been talking to Ed over there for 2-3 months now, and it's something that we're very excited to explore.
Okay. So you recently chose to be doxxed. Why so?
Yeah, I think for us, it's have nothing to hide, and we're not trying to do any sketchy stuff.
And to be fair, Nick has been doxxed before, so mostly just me and Matt actually were doxxed. But yeah, because everybody knows Nick has a very big persona. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we were, So for us, we were like, we think it's important, especially in the crypto space, where, people hear all the time, like, oh, crypto is a scam, or people try to take advantage of you. For us to be able to like put our faces on the company and be like, hey, like, we're real people. You can look us up. You can see what we've done in our business careers. You can see that, like, we're hard workers. We want to succeed. We think it just brings more trust and transparency to players out there. And a lot of people on our team are also doxxed. We've had multiple people on our team go on interviews and talk about the game and et cetera. We just feel like, if you look 5 years from now and 10 years from now, there'll still be, pseudo anonymous people all over the blockchain, but especially with gaming, I think you'll see more and more leaders of these teams being public personas, because I think it just provides a good signal to the community and to players that are interested, but they're scared of crypto, or they're scared of the blockchain. Like they can come to a conference, they can talk to us, they can shake our hands, we can tell them everything that we want to build. So yeah, we just felt that it was important to do. The reason why we like didn't dox immediately is that we really wanted like people to judge crypto raiders just on the game itself and be like, do you like this game? You know what I mean? Instead of us like selling them on who we are. But now that we've gotten to the point where like the game is established and we have people hitting us up all the time, we're like, this is the perfect time for all of us to like fully undox, show ourselves to the world, and show that we're here for the long haul. Okay. So we can imagine Crypto Raider booth at Denver next year. You know it. You know it.
Sure.
Did you go to that?
Okay. Yeah, obviously, yeah, we were at Denver to cover the event. So yeah, we met a lot of people, and yeah, well,
did you go to Barcelona too for Avalanche Summit?
Yeah, I was.
Nice.
Yeah, I was in Barcelona like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was in Lisbon last week for the non-fungible conference. It's a conference obviously about NFTs, and there were lots of play to earn games.
Yeah.
And, yeah, lots of games.
So you're making the circuit.
Sorry?
You're making the circuit of the conferences. You're pretty much at them all. So we'll probably meet you sometime soon then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, actually, I was doing also a talk on esports and gaming on blockchain.
Oh, cool.
Because yeah, we have our own esports team, but yeah, it's not the main point. Yes, sorry about that. So okay, we talked about possible Avalanche subnets. We talk about the game model, the economic model. What makes you, I mean, different from any other crypto game right now?
I think, like, you know, of course, there's very established games out there already, like Axie Infinity, right? We're not like comparing our current state to, you know, Axie Infinity, which is, you know, been building for like 5 years. But
yeah, if I can cut you,
go
sorry, if I can cut you, you compare yourself. I mean, if you compare yourself to Axie Infinity, you have way more functionalities and way more things to do in game than Axie Infinity. We review the game. It's quite average game. I mean, for all the amount of money that was raised. And
yeah, there's
like
not a lot to do in there. It's kind of surprising, right?
I won't talk more about it. It's my journalist, you know. So just want to know what.
And honestly, yeah, no, you actually make a great point. I think that like the way forward, if you want to take crypto gaming and to really blow it up, right? To really like, I mean, you know, I was talking in Discord to somebody the other day, and you know, gaming itself is like a $200 billion a year marketplace, essentially, right? I mean, that's, you know, crypto altogether is like, you know, a few times larger than that. So gaming is already huge. So that's why we think this is a great market to sort of like funnel into. But if you do want that success, I really do think that you need like a good game. And you know, I've been also watching reviews of like Axie Origin. I installed it. You know, obviously you know, you want to do research on your competition and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, gamers, and we talk about this internally all the time, gamers are pretty unforgiving. If you release a product that sucks, it's very, very hard to sort of like unwind that clock and say, oh, wait, you know, give us a second. This is also kind of why we've been a little bit coy and a little bit shy with new releases. We want to make sure we have that solid baseline built out. So when somebody comes in and we have plans to release the game on the Epic Store, as soon as you do that, you're going to have, you know, 100,000 eyeballs on your game. And it's going to, you know, the first month, the first 2 weeks on that platform is going to make or break it. So we are very cognizant of that. And we do think that if you do want crypto gaming to go mainstream, you have to build a good game and you have to build a good crypto backbone for it, like, you know, the tokenomics and all that. So we very much are trying to do sort of like both at the same time. And something that, you know, we've been pushing a lot, and I assume you probably saw in our press release, is this idea of like a play to own. We think that play to earn might be sort of getting, the wrong people to play your game. But I do think that the average gamer wants to play your game to really own the assets that they're playing with. So this is like a sort of narrative that we've been trying to push very, very hard this past month or so.
Yeah. And you asked, like, how do we, like, compare ourselves to like other, like crypto games out there? And I think like the big priority on our team, like not just us three, but across the board, is that like we want to ship like very fast and constantly upgrade the game. Because to be honest with you, we don't see a lot of competitors in the space that we think we won't be able to beat in the next year with our speed of development. I mean, 7 months ago, like you couldn't play our game. Now, like there's a dozen dungeons, there's hundreds of items, there's player versus player, there's questing. Last week we just launched abilities. So now people in our Discord are like testing like the best abilities for PvP or the best abilities to like clear dungeons. And like our roadmap is packed for the next 6 months to the year. Because our thesis is our real competition is the traditional indie gaming studios that are going to come onto the blockchain. And those teams, they know how to make great games. They know how to ship great products. And so what we look at is we say, in the next 6 months to a year, we have to be better, not just than the other crypto games out there, because we think we can do that with our shipping speed, but we have to be better than the indie studios that are going to be coming onto the blockchain. Because imagine you're at an indie studio, right? And your team works super hard for 3 years, and like a good game release for you is maybe $5 or $10 million. They're looking at the blockchain games right now. A lot of them don't even have a game that's going to come out for 2 years, and they're selling tens of millions of dollars, right? So you got to think that those studios are going to come here. That's what we see as our real competition. And so we're looking at like the next 6 months to a year, we have to ship super fast in order to beat those like real players that are going to come to the space.
And you already see that with Ubisoft, with a bunch of like AAA studios already sort of testing the waters. I mean, we're talking about synergies. I think that like a synergy for a company like Rockstar to start doing like GTA online items as NFTs is like a complete no-brainer. I mean, they would make, hundreds of millions of dollars in the current market. Yeah. So I think that is, that's kind of like where we're looking at growth wise.
Yeah, definitely. In your opinion, from each of you, what is the best way to, onboard a newcomer to your game?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And that's something like when we're looking at the real growth for our game, there's a limited amount of people in the world in crypto. There's even less in NFTs. And then out of those people, how many gamers there are? There's not enough gamers to go around. So we know that we have to get traditional gamers to be able to play NFT games. So one of the things that Dave worked on with the dev team is right now, currently, someone can create an account on our website. They can join a guild and they can start playing Crypto Raiders without even knowing what the blockchain is. They don't have to create a MetaMask account. They don't have to figure out what Polygon is. They can literally create an account, join a friend's guild, and start playing. And eventually we want to get that to the place that they don't even have to join a guild to play. They can just log into our website or log into our Unity desktop app and start playing right away. And our thought process is, if the game is fun enough, we just get people into the game and they start playing. And as they get more into that, then you can start helping them understand the blockchain and cryptocurrency and being like, hey, all of this Aurum that you're earning from your dungeon runs, you can actually turn that into Ethereum if you want to. Right now, the problem with crypto gaming is that you have to understand the blockchain first, and then you can play the game. We want to flip that. We want people to play the game first, then they can learn all of that other stuff. Or maybe they don't even really learn that other stuff. Maybe they just keep playing the game forever, and they just learn enough about MetaMask to, sell Aurum or whatever they want to do.
Okay. Guys?
I think Nick hit that on the head as far as the ability to hit the larger market that's outside of only the NFT space or crypto. I kind of went through that education myself in crypto when I started on NFTs. It kind of taught me the basics of crypto and allowed me to branch out into the larger space and really dive in. And I think that RPG gaming, as Nick said, can be that onboarding platform for gamers and for the average person to really understand the functionalities of crypto and the utility behind it. I think a lot of people hear crypto now and they think of Shiba coin, or they think of Dodge, they think of meme things, right? And they don't think of anything tangible. So when you give them a practical application that they're able to use and it makes sense, all of a sudden crypto becomes this whole new world that they want to explore and get into. And I think that's the real move for play to earn gaming over time.
And Matt, I think you would know this better than me, but I do think that there's a good amount of players in our community that Crypto Raiders was like the first time they ever interacted with crypto. It's the first NFT that they bought. They didn't know anything about it, but like now they're going on quests and they're having to like use MetaMask and they're having to understand what Sushi Swap is. So like we've already onboarded people that have never touched crypto before, like onto crypto, onto the blockchain, like through our game. And I think like that story will only be more common probably, you know, in the next year. Dave, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I obviously I totally agree with sort of Matt and Nick there. I also think that, I mean, on our internal roadmaps, we have things that traditional games have, which we currently don't have in our game. So we want to do like a tutorial mode where maybe like the first act of the game is just like completely meant to introduce you to the game, not only the game mechanics, but also some like blockchaining type things like, oh, this is how you like bridge in a potion, or this is how you bridge out whatever you farm or whatever you fish in the whatever in the pond. So we definitely think that there's like ways to do it. I think if you look at games in general, games have really perfected this idea of onboarding somebody onto your game. You know, I was just every now and then I spin up a new mobile game just to see kind of like what's going on in that space, and they are just amazing at onboarding.
So good.
And it's almost addictive. It's like, oh, good job. Now let's do this. Now let's do that. So just like and we want to do it exactly, sort of like follow that recipe, but onboard people not only onto Crypto Raiders but also onto the greater ecosystem as a whole. And then moving on from that, you can also consider things like partnerships with maybe like MoonPay. I know that OpenSea just partnered with MoonPay a few months ago. People can just easily buy an NFT with their credit card. We famously said that we're trying to get character prices down, and I could certainly see a potential future where somebody buys a Crypto Raiders character just like with Apple Pay, and we handle all that on the back end. They don't even need to know that we're going through an exchange or whatever we're doing on the back end. They just get a new character, and then they can play that character without having to know that. Or same idea of like easily integrating with a service like Coinbase, where we handle all the exchange, and boom, all you do is get the payout in Coinbase. Just want to add, some apps already in fact do this on the Apple Store and on the Play Store with PayPal. So like there's some like play to earn, quote unquote, traditional games that send out payments to like PayPal, like Wordle clones, things like that send payments out to like PayPal or whatnot. So there's already a little bit of push in that direction. And I think that we're really gonna blow it up.
Okay. We are certainly going to the end of this interview, but well, I still have some more questions. But what makes the difference between for the people that need to understand the game mechanics? So you have to buy your NFT, which is a hero, and then you are going on quests. You fight monsters, and then you can loot some
items, weapons,
items, weapons, plus experience points. They can breed, if I can say so, they can breed their NFTs to make another NFT.
We use recruitment. I want to just fix your language. We want to use recruitment, so you recruit. Yeah.
Recruitment. Sorry about that.
We thought it would be weird with like humans breeding, so we were like, we're gonna go with recruitment, I guess.
And also, we also want to just create our own. We want to sort of create our own space here. We don't want to like latch onto like Axie or Zed. We
definitely. You are totally right to correct me on that. So yeah, let's say recruits instead of breeding. Yeah, even if humans can mix up together.
Yeah, yeah, humans can do it in real life for sure. I have a kid at home.
So how is this working on? I mean, what's the difference between the first generations to the, I don't know, third or sixth generation?
Great question.
Of heroes?
Yeah. So one thing we didn't and still don't like about some NFT games is we really don't like if one character at the start is like better than another just because it has like it's rarer, right? Like we really wanted our game for it to be like an even playing field. So like if
we don't want to do so, like just to add, we specifically don't want to be like pay to win. This is like a big no in the gaming world. So yeah, sorry.
You want to cut off the rarity of the NFT at the end.
Exactly. So like all of our base characters, the only difference is cosmetic. So there's like rarer skins. So you can be like a skeleton or you can be a dark elf. And those are more expensive to buy than a human. Like right now you can buy a human character for like 50 or 60 bucks. But like a human is just as good as a dark elf from the start. But we did want to introduce a way that like older generations do have some more value in the economy without making them like inherently a better character. So how we decided to do that is that older generations, they have like cheaper costs to recruit, or they have cheaper costs to like mint a new thing. And then also when they sell the items to like the item merchant, they can sell them for a bonus. So like a generation 1 character, is more expensive than a generation 6 character, but they're not inherently like one isn't stronger than the other. But the generation 1 character, if they go into a dungeon and let's say they get a legendary weapon and they could sell it to the merchant, they're going to be able to sell it to the merchant for like 180 bucks, and maybe a Gen 6 can sell it to 125 bucks. So we felt like that was a good way to make there be a difference in the generations without making like, oh, like the only way you can win at Crypto Raiders is if you have a Gen 1 character. It's not even worth doing the PvP tournaments if you don't have a Gen 1. We wanted to avoid that.
Okay, so we can imagine that my generation 1 character could go to 1 ETH one day.
Yes, because when you think about all like when the economy is super complex, right? Like everything that you do, like you go into a dungeon, every one of your items is essentially like 30% more valuable. When you recruit, it's more valuable. We're going to eventually make it so that like you can buy a building for Aurum. We're working on an alchemy table right now that makes your cost to craft potions like 50% less. If you have a Gen 1, when you go to buy your alchemy table, it'll be 30% less than a Gen 6. So you have economic advantages. So you are right. Like if our game blows up like we wanted to, and it's very successful, there will always be a premium on Gen 1s, not just because they're like the OGs, but because they're also economically better.
Okay.
So HODL.
Okay, sorry?
I said HODL.
Yeah, definitely. Well, definitely. Well, no, this is not. We will say that. Off because this is not journalist friendly thing. So yeah, we'll say it in another way. Just to finish, could you just give me each of your 3 favorite games?
Yeah. Oh, I would love to do that. Dave, you go first.
All right.
Putting you on the hot seat.
My favorite game of all time is Counter-Strike. I played that professionally for many years. So by far Counter-Strike. Second favorite, World of Warcraft. Played that also many, many years for a very long time. Third favorite, I'm going to say Magic the Gathering.
Ooh, man.
Damn, that's good.
Dude,
you go, Matt, or you want me to go?
These are hard, man. I think I'd go number 1, Dota 2. I loved that game. I spent just countless hours playing with these 2 guys and many others. Played it at a pretty high level. Love that one. Number 2 got to be Diablo. I mean, that just takes me back to my teenage years. Love that game. And then this is going to be kind of a random one here on the sports side. I don't really like the direction they've taken it with Ultimate Team, but I love FIFA. I'm a huge football fan, soccer fan. So that's a cool way to kind of unwind and spend a couple hours at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I would go World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft #1, because I literally spent years of my life, like literal in-game years of my life in that game. So that has to be #1. #2, I'll change it up a little bit. #2, Heroes of the Storm. Which is like Dota, but it's a little bit more like PvP and faster. Spent countless hours.
None of you talk about League of Legends.
I know. Well, I've played it, but I suck at it. Honestly, I'm just not as good at it. I'll just go into Heroes of the Storm and play as one of those guys. And I'd say #3, Rocket League. I've played a ton of Rocket League over the past like 3 or 5 years, and it's really fun. How about you?
Cool. How about me? Well, this is a quite complicated question. Well, I'd say in first place, maybe Final Fantasy IX. I played the game and again and again and again and again. I'd say in second position, both were Warcraft 2 and StarCraft.
Nice, RTS.
Classics.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And the third game, it's a French MMORPG. You probably don't know about it. It's called Dofus. It's like World of Warcraft, but it's more kawaii, in a Japanese manner.
Yeah.
There's a lot of French. So definitely, it's like World of Warcraft. I played countless hours in it, losing, hours of sleep. So yeah.
Love it. Well,
Thank
awesome.
you very much.
Yeah.
One of those ones you never show your wife the hours played on Steam. You just, don't ever let her see.
Right now, I'm quite happy that there are some games like Crypto Raiders, or there is Comet, which is a French game. Maybe you know it or don't. It's the kind of game you can play for 20 minutes and you can go away and continue.
You can have a life.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. This is the point. Definitely.
Yeah.
Because right now, if I'm still playing World of Warcraft or a game like that, my
life would go down the drain so quick if I was trying to be good in World of Warcraft.